Hong Kong and Shanghai Banking Corporation Limited, HSBC, acquires failed Silicon Valley Bank UK. On Commodity Watch, gold raced towards the key $1,900 level on Monday as investors sought cover from the uncertainty triggered by the collapse of Silicon Valley Bank. Plus, oil prices slipped in Monday as concerns about possible further U.S. interest rate hikes continue to rattle investors. This is Business Express on the network service of the NTA. We are reaching you from Abuja, the nation's capital. I am Musa Abubakar. Let's bring you up to speed with business development. HSBC Holdings PLC on Monday announced that it has acquired the Silicon Valley Bank UK. In a statement released on Monday, HSBC said that the acquisition will strengthen its operations in the UK and that the transaction completes immediately, and that the acquisition will be funded from existing resources. HSBC Group CEO Noel Quinn said the acquisition makes excellent strategic sense for their business in the UK. It also strengthens commercial banking franchise and enhances the ability to serve innovative and fast-growing firms, including in the technology and life science sectors in the UK and internationally. The statement also revealed that as of 10th March 2023, SVB UK had loans of around £5.5 billion pounds and deposits of around £6.7 billion pounds for the financial year ending 31st December 2022. SVB UK recorded a profit before tax of £88 million. SVB UK's tangible equity is expected to be around £1.4 billion. Now, workforce of the Nigerian communication satellite NACOMSAT is strategically reviewing its operational environment and mapping out modalities to stay afloat in the dynamic and competitive digital technological space. This is especially now that the days of Nigeria's existing communication satellite NACOMSAT numbers, and other countries in this fourth industrial revolution where reliance on ICT is heightened in countries as well as companies that launch communications satellites are chasing out from the or cashing out from the digital economy. NACOMSAT is realigning its vision and mission with current realities.
On the best business model to adopt for the deployment of the replacement satellite. And I assure you, by the time the 1 hour comes to end of life, which is still a little, it has some useful life left, we would have a replacement satellite that will be able to either directly or in partnership with other international providers.
NACOMSAT has been sitting on a gold mine, but we have been scratching the surface all the time. We want to now dig down, look at our infrastructure, what issues we have, what relationship we have with the builders of the satellite company, understand the issues that has to do with ground control, and also other social licenses to operate. That's another pillar. We're looking at that. We're looking at health and safety. We're looking at sustainability.
The new vibes are teamwork and customer satisfaction. Nigeria has exported agricultural produce worth 170.59 billion naira in the fourth quarter of 2022. This is based on the report of the National Bureau of Statistics on the Nigerian foreign trade. This shows a rise of 102.59% when compared to the value recorded in third quarter 2022 of 84.21 billion naira. Most of the agricultural products were exported to Europe and Asia. Export of agricultural products was dominated by cocoa beans valued at 88.80 billion naira, followed by sesame seeds with 38.56 billion naira. In the same vein, Nigeria imported agricultural goods worth 444.82 billion naira in the fourth quarter. The National Bureau of Statistics has disclosed that trade transactions between Nigeria and other countries in 2022 is estimated to be 52.38 trillion naira. In a report titled Foreign Trade and Goods Statistics, MBS stated that total imports amounted to 25.59 trillion naira, while exports 26.79 trillion naira. This indicated that the country recorded a 1.2 trillion naira trade surplus as more Nigerian products were purchased in the international community. The report added that in the fourth quarter of 2022, Nigeria's total trade stood at 11.72 trillion naira, from which total exports stood at 6.35 trillion naira, while total imports were 5.36 trillion naira. Total exports increased in the fourth quarter by 7.17% and 10.28% when compared to the amount recorded in the third quarter of 2022 and the corresponding quarter in 2021. Total imports declined by 15.46% in the fourth quarter of 2022 compared to the value recorded in the third quarter of 2022 and fell by 9.73% when compared to the value recorded in the corresponding quarter of 2021. Now, it is understood that participation in global value chain trade depends heavily on low trade costs as well as on low tariff and non-tariff trade barriers. However, apart from high cost of production, the current average tariff on intermediate products across African countries is about 10%. Now, owing to the key objective of the African Continental Free Trade Area, AfCFTA, which is to develop continental value chains to help grow and diversify manufacturing sector. The conversation will be centered on how this is going. Professor Jonathan Aremu joins us to discuss this and more as Africa prepares to start trading in the continental markets. You're welcome to Business Express, Prof.
Thank you.
Okay, in international regional trade, the supply chain is key. What is the situation with the AfCFTA?
Well, let me first and foremost congratulate Nigeria for actually taking a very bold step in making sure that we are fully integrated into African Continental Free Trade Area. Sometimes ago at this NTA, there was the discussion either Nigeria should go in or we do not go in. But finally we are there. And let me say that the rest of African countries, they are happy that the big country, the biggest country in Africa is here. And then they are eager, very, very much eager, from what I can get from Egypt when we went there about 3 months ago. So I congratulate the country for taking that. There's substantial opportunity in the African Continental Free Trade Area. I can listen to what you have been reading. Nigerians export increasing, Nigerian export increasing by percentage, increasing. I mean, take for instance that all those things, they are just happening with other parts of the world, not even with Africa. Okay. Now with Africa coming in, now the opportunity for Nigeria to have increase in export in goods and services will be more. And then it will enhance seriously the capacity of Nigeria to be able to earn more foreign exchange and directly affect the living standard of everybody. So African Continental Free Trade Area is there now, and Nigeria is trying very hard to make sure that we are fully integrated. So excellent thing.
Okay.
going on.
Prof, can you give us a picture on how does the supply chain of the AFCFTA works?
Excellent. You see, the supply chain of African Continental Free Trade will work in this way. Take, for instance, that a company like Dangote, operating in Nigeria, headquartered in Nigeria, has affiliates around African countries. In terms of branches where it has 100% ownership. In terms of subsidiary, where it has majority shareholding, and then associate in terms of where it doesn't have majority holding. So Dangote will have a lot of affiliates, South Africa, Egypt, all around Africa. And I'm sure Dangote will now take that opportunity to look for certain inputs that they can use in production process, which may be cheaper in those countries to be able to enhance their productivity. Okay. And the company, you can just set up a company there or make use of subcontracting activity, right? And this can be done through either outsourcing or vertically integrated with an affiliate that is already existing there. In all those kind of a thing now, it can supply inputs from all those countries into where I wanted to manufacture. It doesn't have to be Nigeria alone. It can actually buy certain input from Kenya, and then it will use it for its affiliate in South Africa. The affiliate in South Africa will produce, and then the product will come to Africa, and will come to Nigeria. And when they finish production in Nigeria, maybe those final products will be sold in ECOWAS countries. So you can now see a lot of, it's going to be cheaper. Why? Because there's not going to be import duty. Because African Continental Free Trade Area presupposes or is understood to say that there will not be any import duty within the product that are actually domestically produced within the continent.
Okay, how can Nigerian companies take advantage of this?
That is the advantage.
Okay.
That is to say that you can network yourself around many countries, taking the comparative advantage opportunity in each of these countries to be able to get sources of your input for your production affiliates everywhere in Africa. And then in that way, you can actually, through vertical integration, either forward or backward, be collecting input and then using the input in different parts of Africa. And that's a wonderful supply chain.
Now sourcing of materials within Africa for manufacturing is dependent of removal of tariff barriers.
Yes.
How true is that assertion?
Well, that's the simple. That's the theory behind it. That is to say that if country goes into economic integration, particularly on this first stage of economic integration, they are not going to be charging the same import duty. So tariff has been removed. So let me say this, that 2 countries or more countries are going to economic integration doesn't mean they are the cheapest producer in the world. In fact, China may be producing some of those products cheaper. But with the removal of tariff, it may happen that the production cost will be cheaper than the one coming from China. Okay. And that one will divert the trade we are having with China into the continental trade we are going to be having among ourselves. And that's the beauty of it. So that is why in economics, we usually argue that economic integration leads to creation by diverting from elsewhere.
Okay. So now, where's the place of outsourcing and subcontracting in this market?
Yeah, that is it. You see, subcontracting can actually occur in which if you discover that Nigeria is not a very cheap producer of certain things within Africa, you can, and then this thing can be produced cheaper in Morocco. You can subcontract that kind of activity to the Moroccan farm to do it for you, or you can even establish an affiliate, either a branch, subsidiary, or associate in that particular place. And then that is that. So apart from subcontracting also, you can actually ensure that you make use of activities of other suppliers in that particular area that will be sourcing other input for the affiliate over there to be able to get what you want in that particular place before you send the product to Nigeria. So outsourcing, subcontracting, vertical integration, everything happening at the same time, that created multiplicity of supply chain.
Okay. So now, our small and medium scale enterprise is a very important sector for the economy. So how do they take advantage of this particular
That is the greatest advantage for them now. Quite a lot of them are producing something very, very small, with Pan-African payment system, which is an opportunity to include everybody in the trading chain. They will be able to produce and sell their product. And when they sell this product, they are going to be credited in naira, and then they will debit the importer in the domestic currency of that country. And that is the essence of Pan-African payment. You see, Afrexim put in place a situation in which we don't need dollar, we don't need pound, we don't need euro to be able to trade among ourselves.
Okay.
If you are Ghana and I'm Nigerian, and I'm buying from you, they will only debit me in naira and pay you in cedi. And therefore, there will not be any problem of going to letters of credit that we don't have foreign exchange.
So that is forex and all these things.
No small and medium scale enterprises find this kind of a thing so difficult. But that has been in line with Pan-African payment and settlement system.
Now, where's the place of technology in trade facilitation?
Excellent.
In this market?
Yeah, you mentioned something that is very important, trade facilitation.
Yes.
That we need to facilitate trade. We need to make sure that both, since tariffs is removed now, there are other things that constrain trade in terms of transportation cost, in terms of some government agencies not working the way they should work. So a very good trade facilitation, beyond what we committed ourselves in February 2017 to WTO, must actually be accompanied by this. Take, for instance, in the case of Nigeria, in which we have multiplicity of government agencies at the port. That will not be doing well. So there should be a way of collaborating between all these multiple agencies so that at the touch of a button, each of the agencies perform their job, not physically getting there. All this kind of long queue going to Tinkan, that will not be very good for African continental free trade area. So we have to facilitate it to make sure that the MDAs that are either regulating or they are inspecting, they actually do their job in a very faster way. And that is why we are recommending that Nigerians should actually use a single window. A single window is an option in which, at the touch of a button, sitting in your office, you can really do your work. Do your work. Even custom, you don't have to actually, with a very good scanner, they don't need to be offloading all the product. No. A very good scanner can look into this small thing and say that this shouldn't be part of the thing to be loaded. Okay. And then in that case, everything is done perfectly well. In Singapore, it's 2 hours to clear goods.
Okay.
2 hours. In Lomé, it's just 24 hours. Why can we not do it here?
Okay, now, Prof, before I let you go, how ready are we to trade in this market?
Yeah. Let me say that Nigeria is fully ready. Yes, there are still some things that have to be done. Number one, I just mentioned the issue of single window. We need to look at all those regulatory agencies that are in charge of trading, harmonize their position together in a way that will create faster trade. Very compulsory. That is very, very compulsory. Secondly, and equally very important, is that we have validated the national strategy on African continental free trade area. Okay. That validated document should be taken to National Assembly for effective domestication. What do I mean by that? A lot of regulatory agencies in Nigeria, they have one thing or the other to do with this trade. They must actually do their own part, and then there must be a law that actually makes sure that they allow them to get it done. Why am I saying this? Under international law, there's one thing they call pacta sunt servanda. Pacta sunt servanda presupposes that whatever you sign that you are going to do in international treaty, you are bound to get it done. We cannot quote our domestic law or our implementation strategy as a constraint to what we sign on the African continental free trade area. So we need to domesticate quite well in line with Article 12 of our Constitution.
Okay. Thank you very much, Professor Jonathan Arimo. Thank you for sharing your thought with us.
Thank you.
And now moving on, before now, traders in Akwa Ibom State will usually smile to the banks as a result of a high volume of transactions when cash will change hands due to increase in demand for goods and services. Today, the times seem to be abnormal as some Gari traders in Uyo who lament poor patronage, however, say purchasing gari of all staples at the moment involves a compulsory exchange of cash for the commodity. Kevin Samuel reports.
Despite the harsh economic situation occasioned by the cash swap, market traders and residents try to run their businesses as usual, but things, they say, are no longer the same. For Gary sellers in Uyo, consumers are having tough times with them, but some of the sellers at the market around Uyo metropolis in Akwa Ibom State share reasons they do not accept money transfers from customers.
Because of this money problem, because of this transfer, they add money for us. How we buy it and how we used to buy it before. So now we are selling, before we used to sell 4 cups at 200 naira. Now we are selling 2.5 at 200 because of the transfer, or because of the money problem.
It didn't really affect me because I did not have cash to go and buy market. It's not everybody that collecting transfer from their business. So I cannot go and buy market to bring it to my shop. That is why it didn't affect. Even though it's Gary, yeah, people that are going out to go and buy it in another state, they did not collect transfer because of the old women that are doing the Gary. They don't need transfer.
The cashless policy really affects us generally. Before we do sales, people will come to the market, buy from us. They give us money. But now, we will stay in the morning till night. We can't sell because everybody wants to do transfer. Although when we want to go to the village to get the gari from our town, people there, they don't collect transfer. They want physical cash. So they think it's really, really affecting us.
Traders on their part say the price of gari has increased due to high cost of transportation, fuel and cash scarcity. As the wholesale traders demand for physical cash before purchasing goods, since they too buy from rural women who in most cases don't operate bank accounts.
We beg government now to put help and help us to reduce everything, add money in the bank so that people will go there and reduce money and buy things from us, because there is no market, we cannot sell. People are not buying, they need transfer from us.
If I want to collect transfer, I will charge from the transfer. If they want to do POS, I will charge like 200. If they want to buy something of 1,000, give them to just release this money for us so that we can maintain our customer.
But now, just look at it, you will not see people. People are passing by. Everybody wants to do transfer. But not to do the transfer is bad. But when we do the transfer, how are we going to withdraw the money and go to the market, to the village and buy gari?
In all, the traders look forward to better days while hoping on government for quick intervention through availability of the new Naira notes. In Uyo, Kevin Samuel.
Well, next is global market update with Inekauko.
U.S. stock futures rallied in early trade on Monday as authorities announced plans to limit the fallout from the collapse of Silicon Valley Bank. In a joint statement, the U.S. Treasury and Federal Reserve announced a range of measures to stabilize the banking system and said depositors at Silicon Valley Bank would have access to their deposits on Monday. The Dow Jones Industrial Average fell 0.28%. The S&P 500 was slightly above the flat line, while the Nasdaq 100 rose by 0.52%. Across the Atlantic, European markets also tumbled as the collapse of the Silicon Valley Bank continued to batter markets. The DAX was down 2.42%. UK FTSE sank 2.01%, while the French CAC plunged 2.38%. Asian markets on their part traded mixed. Hong Kong's Hang Seng Index rose 1.95%. The Shanghai Composite was up 1.2%, while the Nikkei 225 fell 1.11% to close at 27,382.96. African markets kicked off on a bearish note, taking cues from global sentiment. South Africa's JSE Africa 40 lost 1.48%, followed by Namibia's overall index, which fell 0.74%, while Ghana's GSE Composite was muted.
Well, that's it. Business Express returns tomorrow at 9:30 a.m. I am Musa Bakar. Do have a pleasant day.